Have you had a lifelong dream in owning your own business? Allow Stephanie Corals at Nitara Marketing to help you with all of your marketing needs. Nitara specializes in modern logo design, website development, app development, social media marketing presence, and search engine optimization. Nitara's team has a passion, skill set, and experience in digital services to help them guide you through your web development journey. They have happy clients as well. Owner of In-State Business Solutions, LLC, Cameron Shaw said, "Keep doing what you're doing. My experience with you and your team has been great." Contact Stephanie and Nitara at 866-752-8461 or email services@nitaramarketing.com. Enough looking at impressions. Let's impress the world. Frustrated with your pain? Team Rehabilitation of Kokomo, Indiana can help you find the solution. We give free injury screens. Call to schedule yours today at 765-416-6630. We're located at 613 West Lincoln Road, just west of the South End Post Office. Hello everyone, my name is JC Barnett, and with me I have Travis Taflinger. And this podcast is a podcast that is, first of all, informational, educational, and inspirational. You could throw entertaining in there. That's something that I think at some point it could be, but for the most part, I want you to be left with something that you could take away from and really feel like that you could go out into the world or into your personal lives or professional lives, and it could be really useful to you. Travis,
yeah, welcome to 1032 podcast, and I'm ready to talk about hoops.
Yeah. So again, 1032. That's a name that we came up with, and is super meaningful to us in relationship to our basketball careers, which in our lives were super important to us, but we can't really say it was long-lived. We didn't go on to play NCAA basketball, Division I, or even pro basketball, but it was an impactful time in our lives. And 1032 does have meaning. I was number 10 when I played, and my brother Travis here was number 32. So we felt like that was a meaningful name, something that would be a great title for the show. And so it's just conversations with JC and Taff. To get the ball rolling here, first of all, I want to thank our sponsors, Nitara Marketing, Stephanie Corals. It's a quality marketing business that I think gives people an opportunity to expand anything that they want to do, really, whether that's business, whether that's personal. They can go to Stephanie and have an opportunity to grow their websites, grow their social media platforms, etc. Also want to give thanks to Dwayne Ewing, a dear friend of mine at Team Rehabilitation. Known him for a number of years. We go way back to when I was a kid. He was playing football, running around the football field as a quarterback for my dad for the Chargers at the PAL football program. So we go back a ways. He's always been a tremendous support. He's present here in the community, and they're doing great things in the surrounding states as well. So wanted to give some acknowledgement there. Travis, basketball, it's near and dear to our hearts. What has been your experience with basketball over the years, coming up as a kid and even to today?
Yeah, I really feel like our relationship, even though it's developed and grown, it really started at basketball. I remember being a Kokomo Wildcat and having you at basketball camp, and that's probably the first time I met you. And then I remember you probably watched me, I watched you, and then we got to coach, get a little together, and now we have boys that are in the program. And honestly, hoops was my first love. That might sound shallow, but I love the game. I loved. To me, it was art. It was perfect. The ball always bounced back to me. It was just right and wrong. You know, if I missed the shot, it was because I missed the shot. It wasn't any thing other than that. And I grew up loving it. My dad was a coach. We loved Indiana basketball. I know a lot of kids dream about playing in the NBA. My dream was I wanted to be an Indiana Hoosier. And I wanted to play for IU. I had a little outline on my door of what it took to be an Indiana basketball player. And those were my first things that I would think about when I woke up and dreamed about when I went to bed. And unfortunately, though, it kind of became an idol in my life. You know, it was on the throne. It was my identity. And there's nothing wrong with basketball at all. But if it's not on the throne where I believe Christ needs to be, then it can be a problem. And I became super competitive. You've probably seen the shirts, eat, sleep, and drink, whatever.
Right.
That was me. It was eat, sleep, and drink basketball. And I joke around with my wife. I didn't even like girls. I liked basketball. In middle school, at least, I was about it, and had some success. My dad, we did a lot of drills together. I just grew up loving the game, and in high school, though, as much as I put into it, back then playing in front of thousands and thousands of people and putting in 3 to 4 hours of practice in at night back in the 90s, it quickly I quickly burned out, and my first love became a job.
Right.
And that's not good for high school. And one of the best things I ever did in college was gave it up. Yeah. And I went to college to play basketball again, because that was my identity. And when I found out that there's more to life than an orange ball, I really found my true calling, and I really found what I was meant to do. Ironically, I ended up falling back in love with basketball, but there for a couple years, I just dropped everything, and it was a really important time in my life.
That's powerful. That's my story, really. And it's funny that you mentioned how you joke with your wife about the fact that you didn't even like girls. I didn't have a girlfriend until I was 18 and senior in high school. I was 3-sport athlete: football, basketball, track, and my thoughts were consumed by sports. And like you said, to some extent, sports in general were on the throne, and I pursued it more than anything else in my life, and basketball being a large part of that. Football for me is really my first love. I went to college my first year to play football. I played receiver, running back, a number of other different positions on the field. So when I considered going to college to play a sport, it was as a football player. But basketball has provided me with a tremendous amount of opportunities, and has shown me so much favor in my life that I can't deny that that's really been such a powerful tool for me in my life. Basketball has shown me, first and foremost, God shows the favor, but given me the favor with man. I'm 5'7", 150 pounds soaking wet, and I have an opportunity. For anybody who knows anything about Indiana high school basketball, the North Central Conference is a nationally known conference, has some of the largest venues in the country, top 10, I think still to this day. And within the state of Indiana, well known and has some of the greatest talent, and is the highest league and level of basketball in the state of Indiana at 4A basketball. So to be 5'7" and have an opportunity to start at shooting guard, really is more a testament not to me and what I could do from a personal standpoint, but from the favor that I've been shown by God. And I think that came through mainly the gift of being able to shoot the basketball. Being able to shoot the basketball for me gave me more opportunities to be out on that court on Friday nights than a number of individuals who would have loved to have been in my shoes or in my place. So I'm extremely grateful and thankful for those opportunities. And I think we share those same sentiments in a lot of ways. That's our personal testimonies and what we like to call our warm-up. You kind of get more into the meat of what our topic of conversation is here today. It's the state of basketball. And the state of basketball in general and we're kind of gearing it more towards youth basketball and, what that looks like for young people today. I have a son who's 10 years old. He's playing travel basketball right now. And I can't remember if it was Gilbert Arenas or not, but the state of the game and the evolution of the game, Gilbert Arenas, I believe, it was him that said the ratio of games to practice is something like 6-1. That's not how much basketball I played as far as games are concerned when I was a kid. It was much more practice heavy, learning the basics and the fundamentals of the game versus playing so many games all at once.
Yeah, you practice Monday through Thursday, and then you had game time on Friday.
That's what it was, man. That's what it was. So I know that you mentioned at one point that your practices, especially in high school, were pretty lengthy. How do you feel like that helped you develop as a basketball player, and how much more prepared you were as a player come game time?
Yeah, honestly, we ran our program similar to a college. Mm-hmm. We did scouting. We were in the film room a ton. We did lots of walkthroughs, lots of fundamentals. Back then, HSA had some different rules. Like now, you can practice as a team, and there's on and off times. Back then, it wasn't that much, so you had to find time to put in the work, and most of Kokomo did. Mm-hmm. In fact, I remember an open gym. It wouldn't be unusual to have 40 guys in high school at our open gyms.
Yeah,
and some of the teams were just as good as the teams on the court, and they were Kokomo kids,
right?
Kokomo students. Just so many people knew the game and played, and I had so many good friendships, teammates, and but the thing I think it taught me was just grit and perseverance and hard work. Right. If you can get through. I remember getting home from Richmond or Newcastle. We didn't get home till 1 a.m. Yeah. I remember we had to be back for walkthroughs at 7, and walkthroughs were 4 hours, because we had a game Saturday night, and just the work on your body, but mentally, the mentality that you had to have, and some people quit and mm-hmm. gave in, but I didn't, and I hung in there. And I remember having a difficult roommate, and I got through it. And I remember having a hard professor. I remember having tough challenges in my life. And a lot of it, I'm thankful for my high school basketball career that taught me how to hang in there, to persevere, and to stay gritty.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. Those trips from Richmond, those trips from Newcastle, those were some long, cold rides back home. I remember that more construction, the more Wildcat bus. Mm-hmm. Really, at that time, the only bus that I ever recognized a school had that nice of a bus. And I just felt tremendously blessed to be able to travel to away games on a bus like that and to have experiences like that. From my own personal standpoint, I think that the state of the game today, I think young people are getting this instant gratification from being able to play more games versus practicing, learning the basic fundamentals of the game. Don't get me wrong. These young individuals are more talented than ever, are more athletic than ever, able to do incredible things on the basketball court and with the basketball than we've ever seen before. But if you take a real close look at it, any basketball guy can see that there's some things that are missing. How are you seeing the floor? How are you distributing the basketball? How are you as a teammate? Those are things that happen within the personal space and confines of the practice floor. And hard lessons are learned on the practice floor. You made a couple of great points that you learned how to deal with some of the more difficult things of life on the basketball court, but that happened in practice. That didn't happen in the game, where we're pursuing more of that feel good versus the things that don't feel so good. So, and that's really, I'm putting it back on us. Our generation is teaching these young people. We grew up, what I feel like, and maybe you feel the same way, maybe not. I feel like kind of doing things the right way from the basketball standpoint, but how do we get in positions of leadership and pass that down to our young people? Is the game being passed on and left in good hands? What is your perspective on that?
Yeah, I think we have allowed money to creep in, and the reality is I did the math. You want to play in Kokomo, or do you want to go drive down south and play in Indy?
Yeah.
And you think about how much it costs to get a team, how much it costs to get uniforms, which would probably be about the same. But then you think about paying to come into that building, eating concessions, eating lunch or dinner at that town, and they get it. There's a lot of money in youth sports,
right.
And Westfield's capitalized on that. And when I say capitalized, I mean capitalized.
Yeah.
They've, if you do the math, there's 4 teams from Noblesville. Well, there's 10 players on each team, so you got 40 kids paying a lot of money. Their mom and dad's paying $5 every time to see them play, and we have more games than practices now. Well, the average high school has about 3 or 4 per grade. You got to be the top 3 or 4 in your grade to be on varsity sports. So 36 of those kids are putting a lot of money into something that they will not even see the fruit of in high school. Now, there's still fruit of being a good teammate and being active, but see, adults have put the focus on winning and championships and money instead of putting the focuses on development, teamwork, fundamentals. And it's because that stuff doesn't sell. Who wants to watch their kid do a reverse pivot? Who wants to pay for their kid to learn how to actually shoot a jump shot or play weak side defense? They want their kids to win. They want their kids to compete. They want their kids to do all the things that they think is right. In reality, I really think it's hurting the game. And my son brought it up. He said, "Dad, I think cheaters win." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, look at the Patriots, look at the Astros, and look at Michigan football."
He keeps it real.
All 3 of them literally got busted, and all 3 of them won championships. And we can say all the right things that it's not about winning. We can say it's not about money, but the truth is our kids are seeing what it's really about. And when we look at what's successful, what's successful to me is when none of my players get a divorce, get arrested, when they graduate from college. We can't even see the fruit right now. We can't see it for 10 to 20 years. Are they going to be model citizens? Are they going to be people that are taking care of their kids? That's when we know if we were successful. We're going to, and Kokomo High School is seeing a really good time right now with Flory, and it's unprecedented how much winning we've done. That doesn't mean that the coaches are even doing that much better than they did 3 years ago, or 6 years ago, or 9 years ago. We have some good talent right now. And even when Flory leaves, Peckinpah's going to do just as good a job next year as he did this year. But people are going to think it's less successful.
Right.
And shame on us that we're not measuring things the right way.
Yeah.
We're not looking at what the true fruit is. What the game of basketball can develop is the fruit, not the championships that you get.
Correct.
that will rust. Right. I went to state in tennis and went to state in basketball. I can't tell you the scores of any of those matches. I don't even know where the rings are. But I can tell you the brothers that I went through with. I can tell you about Coach Hall and what he meant to me. I can tell you about the relationships.
Absolutely.
And what it did to me for my character.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of aside from the camaraderie that you develop with your fellow teammates, so much as a basketball trainer, there's so much that I say that not only came from my father, but came from Coach Mike Wade. Like, so many analogies, so many different things that are applicable to teaching a young person the game of basketball. Man, that stuff sticks with you. You don't remember scores. You remember some of your own personal accolades, but you don't remember them to the extent that you think you would. You remember some of the greatest lessons that were taught on the practice floor. And, speaking of fundamentals of the game, there are various aspects of the fundamentals of the game that I think we have kind of fallen away from because we have lost that aspect. One of them being shooting. Shooting is near and dear to my heart. That's all I teach through my basketball program. And I'm not self-promoting my basketball program, but from the standpoint of being a teacher, shooting the basketball is vitally important to the game of basketball, but it's important to me because that's what gave me an opportunity as a 5'7" guy. I mean, I'm playing amongst the trees out there, but I have to be on the floor because I can contribute to the game in that way. If you can shoot a basketball, you have a chance to play. I mean, that's the bottom line. And you have to, and if that's a skill that you want to learn, you have to put in the time and the effort, etc. But that's one of the fundamentals of the game. It is for me. I could go through every single point of what makes a quality jump shot. I won't do that right now. But if you focus on the little things, on the mechanics of a jump shot, it's beyond basketball. You can take that same work ethic into every aspect of your life, whether that's in school, whether that's in friendship, whether that's in family. Just shooting the basketball has taught me how to operate and function in so many other areas that it's just such a valuable thing to me that I've taken from the game. Yeah,
and the thing that you did is you embraced your role. And I think whether we're talking to parents or talking to kids, you have to understand your role. And part of the problem with the state of anything is we have an unrealistic view of everything. We want all of our kids to be the top scorer, the best shooter. Well, if your son's super, super athletic, doesn't have touch, but is built like a tree, then guess what? He has a place on the basketball court. He can defend. He can rebound. He can set screens, And I will say, good coaches, everybody talks about the leading scorer after a game.
Right.
But when you listen to a radio, you look in the paper, the coaches know. The coaches see. It might be that guy that dove on the floor, that set 4 screens, that set up a teammate, that embraced his role, that listened to the instructions of the coach. Sometimes your lean scorer is also a kid that doesn't do what the coach says.
Right.
And he's scoring 30, but he's giving up 34 because he doesn't know how to play defense. He's not helping the team. And then you have another kid that's scoring 8, but he's really been a part of every single point that you have.
Right.
And just teaching our kids, like, embracing their role. Being humble, not having to be the best or what we think is the best. So, shooting was your thing, and the great thing about basketball is it take so many, and whether you're the starting point guard, the tallest center, or the third guy off the bench, you have a place in this game.
Yep, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. It doesn't have to be shooting the basketball. The leading scorer is going to get the attention, but the favor of the coach. And I'm going to give you a harsh reality for some of you players out there. Every coach favors some players. Okay? Now, every coach should be working the hardest that they can to be fair. Okay? That doesn't always happen. But they do favor some players, and that favorite player or favored player isn't always the best athlete on the team or the leading scorer. It's the person who's going to do what they asked them.
Exactly.
That are asked.
That's coachable.
That's coachable. And so be that person. And so, okay, so we're going to move into buzzer beater, okay? It's kind of a call to action. Sometimes it's something that we just want you to take away from. And in reference to basketball,
you got 5.
In reference to basketball, I think that being a kid, growing up in Kokomo, Indiana, what I remember of Memorial Gym on Friday nights was that place packed from floor to ceiling. And since the early 2000s, I truly feel like, in my own personal opinion, that has changed for whatever reason that is. I can't put my finger on what that is, but things have changed. I don't know if it's the family dynamic. I don't know if it's the social media, video games, if things are taking people's attention from live going to games and watching them live in action. But my call to action for you is to, in support of young people, on a Friday night or a middle school game during the week, just make it a point to go and sit in the stands.
Yeah. And be a cheerleader. There's so many players out there that do not maybe have a parent or a family member in the stands.
Yep.
And, go out there and notice something. Mm-hmm. Man, I noticed you taking that charge.
Yep.
I noticed you getting that rebound and hitting the outlet really quick. Just letting them know that, one, you notice that they fit their role.
Yeah.
And that's the win. That's the fruit. That's the accomplishment. That's success. And our sports need fans, but even more than that, we need mentors. And whether you love basketball and you're a coach, or whether you're not, you can still jump in there and encourage.
Absolutely.
And that's really what our young people need the most.
Absolutely. And trust me, those young people are going to see you there. They're going to feel your presence, and they're going to be impacted by it. So that wraps up our show today. We thank you, and we God bless you.